Happy SummerSlam week, folks, and welcome to episode 452 of #AskGSM here today for Wednesday, July 27, 2022. I am Graham GSM Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well and having a great week so far. I am flying out to SummerSlam in Nashville in less than 24 hours from when I record this right now. Very exciting stuff. The current plan is to record, I'm doing this now obviously from home, the current plan is to record WrestleRant Radio with Mr. Marceau, SummerSlam preview, predictions, whatever, and very likely tack on my interview with, I think it was Liv Morgan, the SmackDown Women's Champion, promoting the pay-per-view on Saturday. That should be up at some point on Friday. I'll be flying in not first thing tomorrow, but like mid-afternoon in Nashville tomorrow. And then I'll be busy during the day. Very likely we'll record that night or the next day. That should be up on Friday. A lot going on in Nashville through Sunday when I fly out, headed back home. So it's going to be a very busy next couple days. It's been a very busy summer. It's just been a very busy 2022. It's just busy in general. It's always busy. The summer, specifically the last couple of weeks, and this week just in general has been crazy. But crazy in a good way, and I'm looking forward to it. But before then, though, we got to answer your questions here on the show. I'll probably go a bit quicker than usual. I don't have a ton of time today. But you can send in a question by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with #AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Drop a comment on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your comment down below on the question, or drop your question rather in the comment section down below, and I'll be sure to include it in next week's edition. We'll start first with Micah Does It from YouTube. Their first question was, do you think you could take Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus in WWE as a tag team, just literally take them from AEW and put them in WWE? Would it work? I think so. I mean, WWE... The funny thing with Luchasaurus and Jurassic Express and Jungle Boy and whatever, honestly, it kind of feels like a WWE gimmick, like someone dressed as a fucking dinosaur and this kid thinking he's a Jungle Boy, a Jungle Man, whatever. It is very WWE-esque, but it works so well. They have great chemistry. They've had great matches and whatever, and they've been a great tag team. I think it's time to split them up and have Jungle Boy break off on his own, and they teased that, and then they went back to them teaming or reuniting last week. I think that's all a ruse, and it'll be revealed that Luchasaurus is indeed with Christian Cage. But when the time comes when both of them are gone from AEW, which may not happen for a long time, it seems like they're really high on Jungle Boy. Theoretically, in an alternate universe, if they were to leave, would it work in WWE? Under the regime of Triple H, probably. I think if they were handled the right way like they were in AEW with the right music and everything, I think they would be very over. Music or not, but the music helps. And, I don't think Vince would book them properly. He would probably think it was the goofiest shit ever and then book them like an actual dinosaur and whatever. I know Luchasaurus usually speaks like a dinosaur, which is dumb. But as far as how they would book them, they probably wouldn't be much more than a undercard tag team. But now that Triple H is running things, that kind of changes certain things. So in an alternate universe, would it work? Yeah, take away Marco Stunt. I think it would be a great tag team in WWE. His next question, what do you think of LA Knight becoming a new tag team with Bobby Roode and being pushed seriously? Do you think it would be better as a babyface tag team or a heel tag team? What would be better would be not putting either of them in a tag team. I am so done with Robert Roode in tag teams, unless they were to bring in James Storm and reunite Beer Money, which, if Triple H took over years ago, then that probably would have happened. But Bobby Roode, I don't want to say he's damaged goods, but they clearly broke him away from Dolph. Dolph's on his own doing the thing with Theory now. Roode has not been on the show since. He's not been on Main Event. I honestly feel like he might be leaving soon, or they might let him go soon. Now that Triple H is running things, I hope not, and I still hope that he sees a future for Bobby Roode on his own. I just don't get that feeling, but we never know. Now that Triple H is in charge, I would love to see a serious Bobby Roode singles run. At least one in the mid-card. I know we kind of got it when he first arrived years ago, but it was as a babyface, and he never really got a real run as a singles, as a heel, when he turned heel in 2019. At that point, he was paired with Dolph soon after, and they were a tag team ever since, so up until the last couple of weeks. I would like to see that, and then LA Knight on SmackDown doing the exact same thing. No tag teams for LA Knight, none of this Maximum Male Models bullshit. Don't put him in a tag team. Push both guys right now. Specifically Roode, because the guy's like 45 or something anyway. He's definitely on the older side, but he could still offer a lot, I think. It's worth the shot. And then with LA Knight, the guy's not as old as Roode, but he's not exactly a spring chicken. He's almost 40 now, if not already 40. I think he's 39. Push him right now on SmackDown. That's what I would do. Micah does its third question here with Vincent Kennedy McMahon now retiring. Do you think this spells trouble for AEW? Triple H is in charge of talent relations. I'm thinking we see Karrion Kross return to the Rumble with Scarlett. I'm thinking we'll see the Undisputed Era return in the future, Keith Lee, and even the return of Moxley and Jericho back to WWE. What do you think? I like AEW, but they also need to start building up their own homegrown talent to help the company have a bright future. I would say that AEW is doing a better job of that than WWE. WWE has currently no stars on the horizon. Triple H has got to start soon. Start building up some fresh faces soon. We have almost no fucking star power across Raw and SmackDown right now, and if we do, it's people that have been there for years. Drew is a fresh face in the main event scene, but he's hardly a new name. Rollins, Roman, they're stars. They've been around for almost literally a decade now as of November. And the well runs dry beyond them. They're building new stars with the women. I'll give them that. Bianca's a star. Rhea's a star. People like that. They're trying to build Liv now, which is good. But for the men, they don't really have a lot of people they're currently in the process of pushing. Theory, I guess, but is Madcap Moss the next best thing? I wouldn't really worry about that with AEW. They have Jungle Boy. He's a homegrown talent. Darby Allin, his booking's been very questionable, but he's someone they're going to definitely build around. Among others, they have a lot of indie talent over there, and they're focusing on them, obviously, because it makes the product good, but you also need to start building up the newer talent. Daniel Garcia, they have a lot of stock in. Wheeler Yuta. I wouldn't really worry about that with AEW quite yet, because the people they still have on top over there are probably going to be there for a while. Maybe not necessarily Jericho, but Punk should be there for a few years. Bryan, Kenny Omega, people like that. So I wouldn't really worry about that. I don't think it spells trouble for AEW, the whole Triple H taking over WWE. I don't think Triple H is going to turn the whole company around in a day. But it will be interesting when people's contracts, like Keith Lee, Adam Cole that you mentioned, I don't know about Mox. Jericho was coming back regardless. Honestly, I think it was more likely that Jericho would have come back under the regime of Vince because he's so close with Vince. I don't know. He's definitely not as close with Triple H, which is an interesting development. I think Jericho will be back regardless. But I honestly think it would have been more likely when Vince was there, because I'm not sure Triple H is going to want to do anything with Jericho being almost well over 50 at this point, 51, 52. I'm not sure if he's going to want to push him at that point, as opposed to focusing on the future faces and the young people and whatever. Moxley, maybe. I don't know if Triple H and Moxley were ever super high on each other. I know Moxley wasn't really an NXT product. He was hired before Triple H came into power. Although he might have been a Triple H signee, I don't remember. I feel like that was more of a Regal thing than it was Triple H. Anyway, though, so possibly. But people like Karrion Kross is a possibility because Triple H was really high on him in NXT. Keith Lee, keep an eye out for. Adam Cole, keep an eye out for, among other people in AEW for sure. I don't think AEW is in trouble, but it does make things more interesting, and it gives us more of a sense of competition, which we really need right now between the two companies. And his last question, what do you think of a Dolph Ziggler versus Bobby Roode feud? The story could be that Dolph left Roode in the dust and forgot about him. No, I mean, I really don't want to see another Dolph. I mean, I'm not even going to read the rest of your comment, I'm sorry, but I have no desire to see another Ziggler-Roode feud. We had it 5 years ago. It was fine. It gave Roode a couple of first wins in the main roster, and they have good chemistry, but beyond that, I really have no desire to see that at all. Connor's question from YouTube, what, if anything, do you make of WWE stock going up after Vince retired, despite the company recently insisting he was a critical part of it? I saw that. That made me laugh because I'm thinking, okay, it's not as negative of a change as some of the not stockholders, but some of the higher ups in the company were making it out to be. And they said it multiple times. There was a source that said that, and then there was I think in an actual interview, someone said that to one of these outlets or whatever. There was the internal belief that WWE could not be properly run and that all hope would be lost if Vince wasn't at the helm. And then I think it was like legit reported in one of those from the source in one of those Wall Street Journal articles, I think. I might be wrong. But they said essentially word for word the exact same thing. I didn't really get that sense. I think everything we've heard from this week about USA Network being optimistic and people within the company obviously being optimistic, maybe not people I feel like the source might have been Bruce Pritchard or Kevin Dunn, but beyond those type of people, I can't imagine that there's a lot of negativity going around regarding, Triple H taking over the head of the company's talent relations, Stephanie being the new co-president. I feel like there's more optimism compared to negativity regarding the future of the company, with the company in their hands and whatnot. Will the stock continue to rise? We don't know. I can't confidently say that it will, but I think it is a positive sign that coming off the Vince news, you would think, honestly, I would have expected, had you asked me a week ago, if Vince were to retire tomorrow, would the stock go up or down? I would think down just because Vince has been so synonymous with this company for so long. But then again, though, there's so much turmoil surrounding Vince right now for the obvious reasons that I think stockholders and people like that on Wall Street, whatever it might be, see that as a way, all right, this is a positive change. The negativity's out of the company. They can move forward without him, no scandals, whatever. I think the Vince news might have caused the stock to take a dip, actually. I might be wrong on that. I would have to check on that from a few weeks ago, if not, last month or whatever it was, when the news first broke about Vince. But it's a positive sign. I think it's great. And hopefully that continues, and hopefully stockholders continue to see a change within the company, and the stock will continue to rise. Again, it was a one-day thing. Will it be consistent? Who knows? I hope it will be. Could it be? It's possible. It's possible because it's only 1 week. We don't really know how much is really going to change, and not just creatively, but just in general. In the long term, I think it will. I think it will take time, but I think they're off on the right foot. That's my opinion on the matter. We'll go to the Twitter questions now. At Reborn Again, John Ritland from the Twitter Machine. Check out his YouTube show as well. Real Honesty with John Ritland does great work, as they always say. John's first question was, with SummerSlam just around the corner, what would you say is the best overall SummerSlam? Like from top to bottom, the best card, crowd, etc. You answered my question in the rest of your tweet here, but you said, I'd go SummerSlam 02 as the Nassau Coliseum added to an already tremendous event. SummerSlam 02 is probably my favorite SummerSlam of all time. And I wasn't even a fan for that show, as far as I wasn't watching at that point. But going back and watching it multiple times in the network, I've mentioned this before, but you have Kurt and Ray in Ray's first pay-per-view match in WWE in the opener. Maybe Rob Van Dam and Benoit, I forget. Edge and Eddie, maybe, I think might have been the match, if I'm not mistaken. You had that. Test and Taker, who gives a shit? But, the top matches, Shawn Michaels and Triple H, unsanctioned match. Brock and Rock for the WWE Championship. Those are two of the best matches all year in WWE. 02 was a really good year, I would say, creatively for WWE, specifically SmackDown when the brand split started. I would have to go with SummerSlam 02 as well. 05 had a really good card overall. I wouldn't say that one at all, but I liked 05. 2011 was a great show. 2013 was also a really good SummerSlam. Unfortunately, that had a Total Divas 8-woman tag team match that was fucking terrible, so I can't say that one was the best overall. That one was really good. SummerSlam 2014 was a good show. We really haven't had a SummerSlam like that since then. SummerSlam 2019 and 2020 were both good. I liked last year's SummerSlam as well. More of a mixed bag, but I thought it was a good show overall. But best overall SummerSlam top to bottom would probably be SummerSlam 02. 92 was also a really good show for the atmosphere itself and the main event and whatnot. But and I also liked Savage and Warrior on that show too. I might be in the minority on that one. But overall, it would definitely have to be SummerSlam 02. His second question was the Logan Paul Maurice Miz segment on Raw. Excruciating or, in quotes, excruciating? Dude, it fucking sucked. That segment was absolutely terrible. And whether it was written by Vince before he left or not, they got to cut that shit out coming out of this SummerSlam pay-per-view. I know the matches are already set in stone for the show. They already have their directions for each match and each storyline, whatever. But they really need to turn Logan Paul into a heel. And that segment sucked. The whole balls, testicles thing. It was funny the first time Riddle did it, but a month and a half ago. But they've really run it into the ground, and it's just not funny. It's stupid. If you buy that shirt, you're a fucking moron. I'm sorry. It's just their designs on that website nowadays are just not good overall. But that one especially is just really dumb. It's so dumb that it could be funny, but it just dominates the show every week, and it's just not funny comedy. Bruce Pritchard was definitely laughing. Vince was laughing from home, I'm sure, if he was watching. But other than that, the show itself, that was fine. The segment sucked. And hopefully we can move away from that coming out of this pay-per-view on Saturday. His third question, so what are the chances that embezzlement charges are ultimately what brings Vince down? After all the ups and downs during his time running WWE, it'd be rather tame compared to other stuff he's done and gotten away with it. I don't think Vince is going behind bars, but listen, I also said a couple of weeks ago Vince wasn't going anywhere and nothing would really change, and that wasn't the negativity in me, the pessimist in me saying that. It was more just me being realistic, because how much has happened over the years that really hasn't affected WWE, from the court stuff and being sued 20, 30 years ago and taking on the U.S. government and winning, and we saw that whole Dark Side of the Ring episode about that, and Everything else Vince has endured over the years, and he survives every single time. This time it was too much, and he had to retire. Not just, he had to resign, really. They say the word retire, but it was really a resignation. But if you really honestly think Vince woke up one day and said, hey, this company would be better in the hands of my daughter and my doofus son-in-law, in the words of CM Punk from his pipe bomb promo in 2011, then you're an idiot. There's no way Vince would. The man literally said 3 or 4 months ago that he would never retire. I don't think that mindset ever changed. It was in light of recent events that he was thinking, okay, I should probably go. It was more so that he was forced out, and he really had no choice. He really didn't have a choice. So anyway, the embezzlement charges, I don't think that'll go anywhere, but again, I could be wrong. I'm not saying I want to see him behind bars, but you're right. In regards to everything else he's been accused of and involved in over the years, it would be rather tame to be doing time for that compared to everything else he's done over the course of his lifetime. At Boss Antelope 86, their question was, what was the best match of Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor? For me, it was the tag team title match. Not even a question. You answered your own answer. You answered your own question there. It was the main event. I did enjoy Lethal and Joe a lot. I thought that was a good match. I missed Claudio and Gresham, but I went back and watched it, and it was a good match. Way too short, but it was good. And then the Pure title match was good. I enjoyed Roosh and Dragon Lee. I thought they had a great match. So the overall show was a lot of fun in general, a lot of fun to be there for. But the best match of the night, hands down, At Death Before Dishonor, hands down, the Ring of Honor Tag Team title match. One of the best matches all year, and one of the best matches I've seen in person in a very long time, if not ever. At noob_n_co 1991, what are your thoughts on Vince McMahon's retirement over the weekend? Do you think it was the best move by Vince, or do you think he'll be back? He could be back. I don't think he'll be back anytime soon. I'm not saying he'll never be back. I see these reports, he's not expected back. He also wasn't expected to fucking resign either, and he did that. So, like I said, anything can happen at this point. My opinion's my opinion as far as what I think could happen. We legitimately don't know what could, or rather what will and what won't happen. So anyway, the retirement was long overdue. It's a shame it had to come in this way. Like I said earlier, I would have much rather him see the writing on the wall and think to himself, okay, this company creatively would be better in the hands of someone younger that knows what the fuck they're doing and just retire years ago, and not at 77, but rather at 65 or 70. And that just wasn't going to happen. That just was not going to happen with Vince. So, unfortunately, thankfully he didn't die. I think the only time we actually expected this to happen was the day that he passed away. Thankfully, he's not dead. This is definitely better. It's not exactly an ideal situation, but still, I'm glad we had the end result of Triple H running creative and Stephanie in charge of the company. Will it be all positive? I don't know about that, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. And I think stuff will change internally and product-wise and whatever. But, long story short, we'll talk more about it on WrestleRant Radio, I'm sure, this week. But it was a long overdue move, creatively and just in every sense of the word. Vince is not a dumb businessman. He is the most successful promoter in the history of professional wrestling. But the problem is that he couldn't keep his shit in his pants. Not his literal shit, but you know what I'm talking about. And he also was just out of touch creatively. So, sorry, dude, you gotta take a hike, and it's for the betterment of the company, and the company will be better off without him in charge. I'm sorry, it's just true going forward. So those are my 2 cents on that. The second question, your thoughts on the build-up for Ric Flair's last match. I find it very dramatic and cinematic, especially the beatdown in the parking lot. But will we see Charlotte get involved in some capacity this weekend? I've honestly only heard about the build. I have seen none of it. I just really haven't been paying attention. I heard the videos were great, though. And I am very curious to see how that match does. I did not want to pay a penny to go to that show initially. I'm not even going to be there. I'm flying out that day. If it was Saturday or Friday, I might actually check it out for the rest of the matches. The rest of that show looks amazing. The Ric Flair match on its own, I really don't give a fuck about, but I am very curious to see. It's going to be a train wreck. It's going to be bad, but I don't want to look away. So I'm very curious to see how that goes down. But yeah, as far as Charlotte getting involved, it's possible. It's possible. I don't see it happen. I guess it could, especially with Triple H running WWE now. It's definitely a possibility. Do I think it will? No. Could it? Yes, it could definitely happen. My expectation is that it won't, and she'll just pop up either afterward or celebrate it with him on the stage or whatever. But it would be very cool to see her get involved in some form or fashion, given that it's her father, and that it hopefully is his last match, but I'm not sure about that. Next question, also from Noob. What are your thoughts on Triple H becoming head of creative and head of talent relations? I know that everyone wants everyone back, but to me, I'll give it 4 to 7 months because we're just getting ready to for SummerSlam. Like I said, 4 to 7 months until things really change. No, you're right. I don't know about 4 to 7 months. I think it might be quicker than that. But that's the whole thing right now. I don't think anything was going to dramatically change on Raw this week. There were little things that I enjoyed, that I appreciated, that are clearly different from the Vince era, if you really pay attention. The overall show I thought was fine. I think next week's Raw will be a real indicator as far as what the plans going forward will be, as far as how certain things are handled and how people will be booked and whatever. It's a different sandbox than NXT. It's much bigger. You got 3 hours of TV. If he's handling SmackDown too, who knows? It's a lot to handle compared to his NXT days. He's also older now, and his health isn't as great for Triple H, that is. So hopefully he can handle it, and it works out for the best. But you're right. I think change will take time. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen as soon as Saturday or on Monday's Raw. But, per the reports, I've said this in various forums, but if they really want to show that we have a new creative head and that things are actually going to change, they got to start off this new era of WWE, and it truly is a new era. They say that a lot, but this truly is a new era. They got to kick it off with a bang in some form or fashion this Saturday at SummerSlam. That's what I would do, to really indicate and to really usher in this new era and show people, listen, things will change slowly but surely, but here's a big, nice surprise. Here's a nice treat for Saturday just in case, just to kind of whet the appetite, so to speak. So that's what I would do, and you're right. I think it will take time for things to truly change, and 4 to 7 months, I think it might be quicker than that as far as the product goes. But that is an accurate timeline for how long I think things will take to change, and we'll start to see change as far as how people are booked and how the shows look and stuff like that. At Iwagu91, their first question was, before he won it, did you think Claudio Castagnoli was going to win the Ring of Honor World Championship? I did. Going into that show, he was my pick to win. I like Gresham, but and Gresham quitting sucks. I do think they did him dirty with how they handled him and the fact they turned him heel and put him fucking with Tully Blanchard, who also was gone from the company. Very weird situation there. I thought he was done dirty there, but honestly, I would have put the belt on Claudio too. The build could have been better. They could have figured more shit out. I would have had Claudio win regardless. I mean, if you really want to get eyes on Ring of Honor under the umbrella of AEW, you put the belt on someone like Claudio. And it's not just, it's an ex-WWE guy. Claudio's fucking awesome. It's not some random WWE guy. Yeah, he is from WWE from a few months ago, but he was in Ring of Honor first. And yeah, he spent the last 10 years in WWE, but the guy's awesome. And Gresham is one of the best technical wrestlers in the world, but he's not Claudio. He's just not, as far as name power, star power, and people being behind him. They should have built him up more. They should have used Gresham more up until lately. I mean, if he's been signed since March, before he recently requested his release, they should have used him prior to that point. I mean, that's just fucking dumb to have the guy sitting on the side, unless he was hurt or something. But if they didn't even bother to use him really up until like a few weeks ago, I think that's really stupid. So anyway, I did think Claudio would win. I'm glad he did. My only regret is that he wasn't there to see it. I got to the arena late and I missed it live. I heard the announcement from the box office, but I was parking at that point during the actual match, so I missed I missed seeing it live, which was a shame. But overall, I'm happy with the result. His second question, do you think Johnny Gargano is going to return to WWE? I think it was likely anyway. I mean, the guy's never not going to wrestle again. I mean, that wasn't going to happen. If he was going to go anywhere, I would have expected it to be back in WWE. I feel like if he was going to go to AEW, he would have showed up there already. His kid was born in February. I mean, he could have shown up by now. Candice is home. Realistically, he could have gone to AEW months ago. I think that would be dumb. And I've said this before. Depending on what Ciampa's deal was, I would have rather seen Ciampa leave WWE and reunite with Johnny in AEW as a tag team. But hopefully with Triple H in charge, that won't happen. And we can get Gargano back in WWE. Whether it be as DIY or as a singles or whatever, he definitely has more of a chance now in WWE than he did previously when Triple H, or rather when Vince was running things. Do not go back to NXT. NXT is not great. He's done everything he could do in NXT. No thanks. Main roster, though, now that Triple H is running things, I'd like to see it. At Iwagoon91, his next question, with Wheeler Yuta, Jon Moxley, and Claudio winning championships, which title do you think Bryan Danielson will win? Maybe the tag team titles with Moxley. The Ring of Honor tag team titles, or I know Moxley's currently the interim champion, but I could see him being a tag team champion. I would say the pure title, but that's already held by Yuta. The TV champion? I mean, could we see Danielson and Joe one of these days? I think that would be fucking cool. Just give all of Blackpool Combat Club, just give them all the Ring of Honor titles. I mean, I know Moxley's the AEW champion, but honestly, just do that. So that's what I would do. And I think that'd be pretty fucking cool. I would put money on the tag team titles, but I would not mind to see the TV title around Danielson's waist. At Kyle Rochelle 19, looks like Alexa Bliss will finally get a title match at SummerSlam. or after SummerSlam, rather. That's good after doing nothing meaningful with her all year. Will she be the next challenger, or will it be Rhea Ripley? I think it's going to be Rhea. Rhea's back now. They never did the match. I want to see Alexa Bliss back in the fold, but here's my thing. You can do Alexa Bliss in a meaningful feud that's not for the championship. I mean, what a concept, I know. But I've been saying this for weeks. I think a Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss feud makes sense. You can reverse the roles from a few years ago. They have good chemistry. And Becky Lynch can blame, I mean, it's a little late now, but she did bring up a couple of weeks ago how it was Alexa Bliss who won the briefcase and Money in the Bank over her. And there's some unfinished business there. And Becky Lynch was never really able to beat Alexa Bliss on a bigger stage. So I would do that match. I would do Becky and Alexa Bliss in the interim, and then Rhea Ripley and Bianca coming out of SummerSlam. I would have Rhea Ripley win the championship, not Alexa Bliss. If you want to do Bianca and Alexa Bliss on Raw, and then build the Rhea and Rhea and Bianca, that's possible too. But I'd rather personally just see them jump right into Rhea and Bianca, since Rhea was already promised the shot of Money in the Bank before she got hurt. Next question from Mike Ponick. If I mispronounced that, I apologize. But his question was, WWE is pushing Logan Paul as a babyface, and the fans don't seem to be taking to him. I heard as part of his contract he wants to be a babyface. Have you heard this? And with Vince retiring, will the current powers that be push him as such? I heard the contract thing too. Has that been actually confirmed though by Logan Paul himself? I mean, has he said that on one of his podcasts? That's very possible. I just took that as hearsay, that was the belief, or that Meltzer said that, which is, I mean, Meltzer isn't always right. Let's put it that way. But I find it very hard to believe that would be something he would make up. So hopefully coming out of SummerSlam, they'll tell him, listen, dude, you got to be a heel. If this is going to work out, then you got to be a heel. Otherwise, this is going to be a massive waste of our time. Triple H has to fucking know that. So I'm hoping with Vince being gone, Triple H will have a sit down with him and say, listen, dude, if it is in your contract, we got to renegotiate here. I'll pay you more if I have to, but you're just not going to work out as a babyface. At least not right now. Probably not ever, but especially right now when people still really fucking hate him. But the babyface shit ain't working, and that segment from Raw, like I said earlier, fucking sucked. At Jeremy 8-9-11 with the recent roster changes in WWE, do you think we might finally see a main roster War Games match? Survivor Series would be the perfect pay-per-view for it, in my opinion. Yes, Alexis brought that. Alexa Bliss, my God. Alexis actually brought that to my attention the other day when the Triple H news broke. Yeah, that is definitely possible. The rumor always was that Triple H, and I think a writer within the company confirmed this, Triple H always wanted to do a War Games match. And it was pitched many, many years ago, even before NXT. And Vince said no. And it became Elimination Chamber instead at Survivor Series 02. Triple H runs NXT. 15 years later, finally implements the match in NXT. And it's a wild, awesome success. And I don't know if it needs to be an annual event like it is. But in NXT, it's been a great match. We have yet to see a truly bad War Games match in WWE. I would like to see it in the main roster. Get rid of the brand supremacy bullshit. That shit means nothing. And if you are going to do it, then do War Games. I feel like that'd be much more interesting than some of the shit they do at that pay-per-view annually. So, yes, it honestly increases the odds of them doing War Games. I could see Vince at home, face getting red, tears going down his face. That fucking meme where it's like that guy's got the mask on, where it's like smiling, but behind the mask he's crying. That's going to be Vince come November if he brings in War Games, because Vince does not like War Games. He said, do that shit in NXT. We're not doing that shit here. I know they did it in NXT 2.0 as well, but, they already were doing it at that point. I don't know if they were going to get rid of it, but regardless, yeah, I could absolutely see them doing War Games in the main roster, as they should. I think when done at the right time, War Games can be great, and that has been shown in NXT because it's been great there for the last 5 years. At E13A, last two questions here. How much do you know about John Laurinaitis? I know enough from watching Total Bellas, and I kid. But no, I mean, John Laurinaitis has been around for a very long time. His name being dragged into this whole thing, not even dragged. I mean, that would imply that he's innocent. I mean, he seems like he's every bit as guilty as Vince, and he's just a very creepy fucking dude. And he had no business being back in the position that he was. I know they fired Mark Carrano, who was also a fucking moron from what I can understand, but Laurinaitis was a weirdo. I'm sure the talent weren't happy with him being back. He did not have a great reputation for whatever reason, for a variety of reasons, from what we understand. I know he's just the messenger and whatever, but he just seemed like he was a fucking corporate stooge and whatever, and that never really helped. So, for how much I know about him, I am happy that he's probably on his way out, if not gone already. And last question from E13 from Emmanuel. What's going to happen at WWE SummerSlam? Like I said, we're going to go through our full preview and predictions for the show, very likely on WrestleRant Radio, either later tomorrow or on more likely than not on Friday. If not on Saturday, we'll see how the schedule shakes out. I think it will be a good show. I don't know if anything drastic is going to happen, has been rumored and reported by @WrestleVotes and people like that, saying, oh, they really want to kick off the Triple H era with a bang. That would be awesome. I don't know if they will do that, though, is the question. I'm just not sure. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not. But, I think Roman's going to retain. That's my prediction. If Brock wins, I mean, we're all fucking doomed with this Triple H creative era, because that would be really fucking dumb, I think. Even if they had Drew beat Brock at Clash of the Castle, having Brock be the one to beat Roman and not someone like a Drew or hopefully Cody would be really fucking dumb. I think Bianca's going to retain. I think Liv's going to retain. The other predictions you're just going to have to wait to find out in WrestleRant, or on the SummerSlam edition of WrestleRant Radio this coming week. But I do think it'll be a good show, honestly, even without a big drastic surprise or a big moment. Like last year, we got Becky back and we got Brock back. I mean, that was pretty cool. We hadn't seen either of them in well over a year. So honestly, those two moments made that show for me. Overall, I enjoyed the event. It was very hit or miss for a lot of people, and I get it. I liked SummerSlam last year, and part of that was due to the fact I was there. But the Becky and Brock returns really made that show. Will we get a big return like that this year? Probably not. I don't see The Rock coming out in fucking Nashville to confront Roman at the end of the show. I don't think that's happening. So, we'll see. But I am expecting a good show regardless. Even with all the rematches, I feel like the matches have potential. And I think it will end up being a good show, if only because almost all of their pay-per-views this year, say what you will about the weekly product, and I get it, rightfully so, it has not been good. The pay-per-views have delivered. Literally every pay-per-view they've done has been good to great. So I think SummerSlam will continue that streak, in my opinion. And that's going to do it, guys, for episode 452 of #AskGSM here today for Wednesday. I'm all over the place today. Wednesday, July 27, 2022. Thank you guys for checking out the show here today. I appreciate it. This was a lot of fun, and I look forward to doing it again next week. So like I said earlier, I'm flying out for Nashville in less than 24 hours, almost exactly from when I'm recording right now. I'll be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, leaving on Sunday midday. I will be there for SummerSlam, and I will be there for some other events, and I may or may not be confirmed for as of right now. I'm definitely doing interviews while there, so I'm looking forward to that. And everything changes on a whim with WWE, but it seems like it's shaping up to be a pretty spectacular weekend. So follow me here on the channel for more interviews, content, preview, predictions, Q&A videos, and so much more. Live reactions, all that coming soon here to the channel. If you're not already subscribed, you are missing a prime time to do so during SummerSlam weekend, especially with all the news coming out in the last couple of days. You're not going to want to miss anything that drops here on the channel. All that being said, guys, have a great rest of your week. Oh, one last thing, obviously. If you want to send in a question to the show for next week, you can do so by tweeting me on Twitter at WrestleRant, #AskGSM, Facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Drop a question on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section on this very video. I'll include your question in next week's edition. Have a great one, guys. Enjoy SummerSlam weekend. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.